So I was really looking forward to speaking with you today, and I've heard you speak at Ms. Esquire a couple times, and we've done a couple of
Yes.
one-to-ones, but I loved it when you spoke and you talked about how you started and got into what you're now doing, but kind of the progression of your career starting from very humble beginnings. Can you just
Yes.
kind of walk me through how how that has, from how you started and then how
Sure.
you grew?
Sure. Yeah, of course. Of course. It's funny to look at your life in just like a 5 to 10 minute window of like, okay, so I have really done a lot. I shouldn't be so hard on myself all the time, you know? But yeah, so I mean, I started at law firm sites in 2006 as just the janitor. I just answered a Craigslist ad. I just needed a job, right? And I knew how to clean. I cleaned offices with my dad growing up. He owned a janitorial service. So it just was one of those, it was kind of fate. The owner of law firm sites, we our families, even though I'm in Utah at this point in 2006, our families had actually grown up together in Georgia. And I had actually kept my maiden name on everything, like on my email still and everything. It's just my maiden name is Fish. It's very memorable. Like Joe Fish is just memorable. It's easy to, it's people will remember that. And when I emailed to apply for that job, he emailed me back and was like, "Are your parents Mel and Linda Fish? Are you from Alpharetta, Georgia?" Um, and I remember going to my sister and I was like, "Hey, does this guy know us?" And I like told her his name. I'm like, "Do we know him?" And she was like, "Yeah, we know him. Like we grew up together. We all went to the same church." But he was, 10 years older than me. So it's like I didn't totally know him, but my dad was like his scoutmaster. So it was one of those like very much meant to be. I was meant to find that ad. So obviously he hired me, kind of on the spot and just kind of became my mentor moving forward past that. He saw how hard that I worked at even just kind of being a janitor. I actually cleaned their house, their personal home during the day, and then I cleaned law firm sites at night. Um, and so it was just, we became really close. And a year later, the receptionist position opened up at law firm sites. And he was like, let me teach you how to answer phones and customer service and, get you a little bump in pay. And then you don't need to be cleaning. And then it just kind of, it snowballed from there. I got really excited about, um, honestly finding out just kind of who I was and what that I was good at. And I never really had, I guess, a passion in life other than I need to support my son and take care of my son, right? Like that was my focus and my goal. And throughout the kind of 15 to 20 years that I was progressing at law firm sites, I was like, oh, hey, I'm really good at this, or I really enjoy this. I want to learn as much as I can about website design, website development, customer service, how to manage your employees. And so I just kind of, engrossed myself in that world and taught myself on my off time and watched a lot of like YouTube videos and stuff on, just it was just whatever I could kind of get my hands on and further educate myself. And I was doing, and then in 2020, at that time, I was actually the COO at that point. I had been at law firm sites for 14 years. I had helped the company grow and I was the COO. And the previous owner came to me and was like, I think I'm going to sell law firm sites. Like, I think I'm done. And would you like to buy it? I would love for you to buy it if possible, before I just kind of take it to market. Like you have been with me for 14 years, you've helped me grow it to what it is now. And that's, I always just make the joke. I drove home to my husband that day and was like, "You're gonna quit your job." And we are gonna my newer husband, I got remarried in 2012. But I was like, I need somebody to help me. And with sales, my husband had been in sales for 15 years, insurance mainly, but I was like, hey, if you can sell insurance, you can sell websites. So we risked every single thing that we had, every dime that we had to buy this company in 2020. And yeah, so I'm like, we just celebrated our 5th year anniversary of owning the company in October of last year, and the company's never done better, and we're still married. So we
I don't
take
know
that
why
as
I
our
thought it had been longer than that, that you had owned law firm sites.
yeah,
So
yep.
2020,
October 2020, yes, is when we purchased the company.
right?
So yeah, and then in those few years, those beginning years, we actually had, and it was something that I didn't really share with people. I've been sharing a lot more now, and I'm sure you've probably heard of just, the previous owner within the first few months kind of just left us, up and left, was gone. And then he actually, within the first 3 months, had started a competing business and was taking leads from us, and it was a very difficult time in our lives, just emotionally, mentally, everything. It was very, very difficult. We were in a legal battle with him for 4 years. Like I said, we've only owned the company for 5. And so we were in a legal battle with him during that time. Plus, we're trying to run the company and try, grow, and had a teenager. And so some very, very difficult years for us. I had a current client, Lourdes Ferrer. I don't know if you've met Lourdes. So she actually has been my client since like 2018. And her and I just became really good friends, and just really connected. And when we were kind of building her website, and when we bought the company, she had come to me and was like, "Hey, I'm a part of this group called Miss Esquire. It's so amazing. Let me introduce you to Risa and Trish. I think it would be such a great, just connection, kind of partnership." She made that connection. I flew down to meet with Risa and Trish, and begged them to allow me to be a part of everything, and I'm like, "Please let me build you a website for free. Like, let me do all of this so you can see for yourself. Like, let me, my staff, my product kind of sell ourselves, right? I will take the risk on that completely." And it grew from there, right? I became really good friends with all of them, and have been able to kind of be a part of this group for the last few years. But it has helped my business grow, yes, exponentially. Miss Esquire has been a huge kind of stepping stone for us into another kind of, level of revenue, and just kind of like partnerships, and referrals. It definitely has helped us. So we have tried to kind of give back as much as we can to Miss Esquire, and in return, it's done very, very well for us.
What year was that you joined Ms. Esquire?
I want to say it was, I want to say it was actually like early 2023. It was like February 2023, because it's been about 3 years.
Your story and my story have a lot in common. So when I
Really?
heard, yeah, so I was waiting tables. I moved from Chicago to South Florida in
Okay.
1990, and I was waiting tables, and I was tired of waiting tables, and I applied for an administrative position at a couple of offices. One was a real estate office, one was an insurance company. And I was hired by the I'm sorry, by the real estate company as their receptionist. So I started answering the phones, which, I knew how to do, and take dictation and file and all those things. And I just was so fascinated. The only thing I had done in real estate at that time was rent an apartment. And I had a good friend of mine, Gary Smith, who owned another boutique firm, and he was asking me to go work for him. And I was like, we had a lot of the same friends, and there's a risk when you're going to work for someone that you know. What if it doesn't work out and you still
Sure.
see each other socially? I was very good friends with his wife, and the children played soccer together. So I was really resistant to that. And then my now ex-husband and I wound up taking in my sister's 3 children. So now we had 4 children at home. And I ultimately resigned from the other company because with 4 children, someone's always sick, always having to take care of somebody. And my ex-husband was an electrician, so he made more money than I did as a receptionist. And I ran into my friend who owned the other real estate company, and he was like, "Oh, how's it going at X Realty?" And I said, "I'm not there anymore. I'm staying home with the kids. It's just too much."
Hmm.
He's like, "Ellen, I want you to come work for me." And I said, "Gary, I have 4 children at home. Someone's always got a cold or something. If someone has to
Yeah.
call in sick, it has to be me because I don't make as much money as Philip does. So, I don't think that it would be fair to you." And he's like, "I don't care. I want you to come work for me. I see something in you, and I just know it's going to work out." And so I went to work for him as an unlicensed assistant, office manager. And then in 98, I got my license.
Awesome.
And I was very nervous about getting my license because I had always gotten a salary or an hourly rate.
Sure.
And I was like, no. And he said, I'll pay for you to go to real estate school. I'll pay for your board dues. And in the first year, if you don't make as much in commission as you would have made administratively, I'll write you a check for the difference.
Wow.
And I went home and I told my husband at the time, and I'm like, what do you think? I mean, feels very scary to me because we needed my income. And he's like,
Yeah.
you have to do it. I mean, you have to do this. And I did. And my first year as a licensed realtor, I made almost three times what I was making
Awesome.
administratively. But also the way that I was able to serve people, because as an administrator, you can do a lot, but you can't show homes, you can't negotiate contracts. You know, there's
Mhm.
a lot that you can't do. And so to be able to go there and help people to make the biggest decision of their life and to really become a part of their families during that time, I just absolutely loved it. And it changed my life. It absolutely changed my life.
That's wonderful. That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah.
Hey,
So, I
starting at
mean,
the bottom.
starting at the bottom, there's
Starting at
nothing
the
that I
bottom.
can't do,
I
whether
love
it's
that.
using the MLS or entering a listing or all of it. And I
Yep.
think it has helped tremendously to be able to know every role, every position, and to have a lot of gratitude and
Sure.
know how much the people in those positions, how hard they're working and how
Yeah.
difficult it is.
Yep.
And a few years ago, maybe 7 years ago, I started niching, working with families in probate, guardianship, senior relocation, and really working with families during a very difficult time.
Hmm.
A lot of times the parents retire down here, the adult children up north, and they need help with everything from changing the locks on the door to returning the cable boxes to having the property cleaned to having a handyman come out, not even talking about the marketing and sale of the property. I could do that in my sleep, but
Yeah.
all of the other things. And then I was very fortunate that 3 years ago, my son, who was in logistics, my baby, who's 29 now, came to me and wanted to come work with and for me. He was like, what is it that you're thinking? Because he was doing well in logistics. He's like, Mom, every day I hear you on the phone giving people work, whether it's a lender, a title company, a cleaning service, a locksmith, a handyman. You're like always giving people work, always giving people work. And I feel like I'm in a job that's just more taking and it's not fulfilling.
Yeah.
And so it just, when you find that thing that really lights you up,
Yeah.
so when I heard you speak, I was like, oh my God, she's got that same spark when you talk
Yeah.
about what you do and your husband and your son and building it up and the risks that you've taken and continue to take as a family and
Yeah.
putting it all on the line.
Yeah.
It's really,
It's I always tell people too, I'm like, hey, it's not for everybody, right? Like I never, my goal in life was never to own a business or be an entrepreneur. That was never a goal. I've been very honest about that because I think mainly because I didn't think that I could or that that would be an opportunity for me, right? Like, and I actually think that that has helped me love and enjoy what I have so much more because it wasn't something that I was like obsessed with and working towards. I was more obsessed with taking care of my family. Having, honestly, my biggest goal, Ellen, in life was to go from, I just didn't want to be an hourly employee. I wanted to have a salary. I thought that I had made it when I had a salary and I could just know I could count on that money, right? Like every single month. So I set very low goals for myself, mainly just because it was my own insecurities, right? And then just, the people around you, your family, my husband definitely has held me up through all of it, and you just kind of keep that forward goal in mind of, I've been an employee longer than I've been a business owner. So I think that that puts me in a very unique position I care very much about my employees. I respect, I know, like you said, I've worked every position at this company. I know how hard every position is at this company. And I feel very sensitive to that and to my employees, and I want them to have a good working experience and care and teach them about like, hey, we care about our clients, right? Like it is not all about money at the end of the day. It's not. It's the money will come when you're treating your clients the right way and you're going above and beyond. And so that's no, that's wonderful to hear from you. I love that.
Yeah, I believe that too. It's like the money is a byproduct of doing
Yep.
great work and really wanting to serve people at the highest level. You
Yep.
know?
100%. 100%. Wonderful. Well, I'm like, the funny thing is, I'm like, I feel like I'm just chatting with you easy. I'm like, it's already been 25 minutes. I'm
I
like, just
know.
kind of
I just
yammering
want
on.
to thank you so
Yes.
much. I had been looking forward to talking with you, and I love it every time you come down, not just because you bring the best gifts. You do bring the best
Thank you.
gifts,
Thank
but you're
you.
just always so positive and upbeat and inspirational. And I don't know if you know how much you impact, the people that you speak to and in front of, but you have definitely impacted me, and I really want to thank you for that.
Thank you. No, I'm like, that makes me feel kind of emotional because I'm like, I'm still, I'm a human being too. Like I'm hard on myself all the time, So I'm like, I love to hear that me sharing and teaching is helping people and like that you like to hear it and getting good feedback. Thank you.